Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're tackling something you've probably seen all over your feed, the wildly popular garbage gardening trend. You know the claims, right? Turn your kitchen trash into an endless, magical supply of free groceries. But honestly, how much of this is actual, real-world botany, and how much is just, well, internet hype? Let's cut through the noise today and figure out exactly which scraps genuinely belong on your windowsill and which ones absolutely just need to go straight into the compost.
I mean, we've all seen those viral posts, right? The ones promising things like, buy one avocado and grow your own avocado tree, or never ever buy a carrot from the grocery store again. And look, it sounds absolutely incredible. It plays right into that very human desire to be super resourceful and, self-sufficient. But hold on. Before you start frantically saving every single pit, stem, and tiny root from your cutting board, we need to take a closer look. We've got to separate fact from fiction here. Because while nature is undeniably resilient, it doesn't really work the way a snappy 15-second clip makes it seem.
And that brings us right to the massive gap between those really captivating time-lapse videos and actual botanical reality. On one side, you have this viral expectation, unlimited, completely free fruits and veggies in just a matter of months, with basically zero effort. But then there's the harsh reality. A lot of these projects literally take decades to yield any fruit, or they just give you these impossibly bitter leaves, or, let's be real, they just turn into mush and rot in a glass of water on your counter. So our main goal today is to keep you entirely out of that harsh reality column.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Trash to Treasure, exploring the vegetables that are actually worth regrowing.
If you're going to invest your precious time and prime windowsill space, you want to focus on these 6 absolute heavy hitters. We're talking potatoes, basil, ginger, green onions, sweet potatoes, and garlic. Now, what's really cool here is that these aren't just going to pop out one sad wilted leaf and die. No, these guys actually have the biological capability to give you substantial, entirely new yields. They're the real deal. But the absolutely crucial part here is understanding exactly why these specific plants work so well. The botanical secret behind almost all of these winners is that they are tubers or rhizomes. Now, unlike true root vegetables, which we are definitely going to get to in just a minute, tubers and rhizomes are quite literally designed by nature to sprout entirely new, full-grown plants from just a single surviving piece of themselves. Basically, they store up these massive amounts of energy for this exact purpose. It's their whole survival strategy. Take potatoes, for example. They are just incredible because every single little sprout or eye on that wrinkly forgotten potato in the back of your pantry, it can generate a whole new plant. And get this, one single plant can yield 5 to 8 more potatoes. It's like a crazy multiplier effect. The trick here is you just cut the tuber into smaller sections, making sure you leave at least one eye per section. And here's the really important part. You've got to let those pieces sit out for 1 to 3 days to scab over. If you don't, they'll just rot in the dirt. Then, once the danger of frost is gone, pop them in the ground outdoors with the eye facing up, and you are well on your way to a legitimate harvest. Now, if you're looking to propagate herbs, basil is basically your best friend. It's incredibly forgiving. You really just need a healthy, say, 4-inch stem, maybe some leftovers from pizza night. You just cut it at an angle and pop it right into some fresh water. Just make sure none of the leaves are actually touching the water, because that causes rot. Give it some nice indirect light, and in about 10 to 14 days, boom, you'll see tiny roots starting to form. Once those roots hit about 1 inch long, just transplant that whole setup into some soil, and you've suddenly got a brand new, thriving basil plant.
Then we have ginger, which is a rhizome, and regrowing it requires a pretty clever little trick. See, ginger is a tropical plant, right? It absolutely loves the heat. So you literally have to trick the rhizome into thinking it's somewhere hot enough to actually sprout. You do this by chopping it into thumb-sized pieces, again, looking for an eye on each piece, and planting them in really shallow soil right on top of a heat mat. Keep that soil moist, and once you finally see those little green sprouts pop up, you can safely transplant it outdoors after the last frost. Honestly, you can keep ginger alive in pots for years, just slicing off a fresh chunk whenever you need it for a recipe. It's a total game changer.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, the viral fails, or why your carrot scrap is a total disappointment.
So, I'm sure you've seen those wildly popular videos of people putting little carrot tops in a shallow dish of water, right? Well, the crucial thing to understand here is the concept of a taproot. A taproot is that main, really thick underground root of a plant, like a carrot or a beet. It stores all the nutrients. But here's the kicker. Once you sever that leafy top off the carrot, it is botanically impossible for that little scrap to ever regrow a new orange root. It just cannot happen. Sure, it might sprout some pretty, feathery green leaves on top. And hey, those are totally edible, but you are never, ever going to get a brand new crunchy carrot stick out of it.
And while we're bursting bubbles, we really have to talk about those videos claiming you can just casually grow a fruit-bearing lemon or avocado tree from a grocery store seed. The thing is, commercial growers use grafted plants. These are essentially exact clones of mature fruit trees, and they use them to completely bypass the unpredictable seed stage and ensure fast, consistent fruit production. When you plant a random seed from a piece of grocery store fruit, you are completely rolling the genetic dice. That tiny little lemon seed, it might take 30 years of waiting to mature into a tree. And because of how genetics work, the fruit it might eventually produce could taste completely different and, frankly, usually way worse than the lemon you originally bought.
This table pretty much maps out the harsh reality of what you actually get when you do these viral fails. Hopefully this saves you weeks of staring at a glass of dirty water. Romaine lettuce? Yeah, you'll definitely get some new center leaves, but they are notoriously bitter, and they will absolutely never form a full crisp U out of lettuce. Celery? Basically the exact same story. You get some weak center leaves, but zero crisp stalks for your peanut butter. As we mentioned, carrots and beets only give you those edible feathery greens, no new roots. And fruit seeds? They literally demand years of your life with unpredictable results, or often absolutely zero fruit at all.
Right, let's pivot to some good news with Section 3, Rules for Regrowing Success, and effectively managing your expectations.
Now that we've kind of shattered those myths, and knowing that you can't just magically spawn a free grocery store on your kitchen counter, you might legitimately be wondering, so why bother regrowing scraps at all? Like, if I'm not going to slash my grocery bill in half, what is the actual point of saving my onion bottoms and pieces of ginger?
Well, the honest truth is, no, you aren't going to save a ton of money. But that being said, the real value of scrap gardening is still pretty awesome. First off, it's just a really fantastic hands-on way to learn about plant life cycles. It makes for a super fun educational project for kids, way better than reading it in a textbook. Plus, think about those dark, cold winter months when absolutely nothing is growing outside. Forcing a few scraps to sprout on your windowsill is just a quick, incredibly easy way to add some vibrant greenery indoors. And hey, it does mildly reduce your kitchen waste, which is always a bonus.
Okay, so if you are going to do this, let's make sure your experiments actually work. Here are some key best practices. First, try to start with organic produce if you can. Conventional produce is often sprayed with anti-sprouting chemicals to keep it looking fresh in transit, which obviously ruins our plans here. Second, if you're using water, use just about 1 inch. Seriously, do not drown the poor scrap. Make sure you change that water every 2 to 3 days to keep it fresh and avoid that gross, swampy slime. Also, adopt a strict 10-day rule. If a scrap shows 0 signs of life after 10 days, dump it. No hesitations. And lastly, if you want a guaranteed, practically foolproof quick win to boost your gardening confidence, always start with green onions.
As we wrap up this explainer, armed with all this actual botanical reality about tubers, rhizomes, and taproots, I want to leave you with a quick thought. You now know exactly what's genuinely worth your time and what's just an internet illusion designed for clicks. So, the next time you're chopping veggies for dinner, I want you to look at your cutting board and ask yourself, which of these proven, realistic, trash-to-treasure scraps are you going to rescue tonight?